The original Predator is a masterclass in filmmaking. It ratchets up the suspense and horror with every scene. The central narrative mechanic at the heart of the film is a mystery. We're constantly trying to answer the questions like, why is this creature hunting these soldiers? And what does it want out of this situation? However, once the franchise answered those questions, we're all asking something else. Why isn't Predator scary anymore?
Yeah. Stick around.
Directed by John McTiernan with a script from John and Jim Thomas, Predator was released in the action boom of the late 80s. It told the story of an elite group of soldiers played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, Jesse Ventura, and Shane Black, amongst others, who seemed to meet their match in an unstoppable force haunting them through a South American jungle.
What is it? There's something in those trees.
But Predator differentiated itself from other men-blasting-guns-at-things movies by injecting itself with a sense of horror and dread, something explicitly demanded by star Schwarzenegger in order to get him to play our hero Dutch. His signing on boosted the moderate budget up to around $15 million. So much of this movie pulls on traditional horror tropes, albeit twisted into a specific type of weird war story. The jungle landscape works as a haunted house of sorts. Strange noises and paths that double back on themselves, a tension that ratchets against our chest as each impossibly powerful soldier is picked off brutally and without reason. When the killer, our titular predator, often referred to in the extended media as the Yautja, is finally revealed, the tension turns to horror and the audience is left to wonder, why is this happening? Horror writers have always utilized the unknown as a central tool in crafting a story. As a people, we feel this desire to know or comprehend, and Predator refuses to give those audiences those answers until its final act.
You one ugly motherfucker.
The answer to all these questions flows back to a simple point. The Predator is an alien from a species that hunts adversaries for sport. Once we, the audience, know this, the tension is released and the credits roll. The Predator is a perfect horror story. It's atmospheric, brooding, and has an end that sheds light on all the motivations of its central antagonist. So, if you were going to tell more stories in this universe, you'd have to think of a new way forward, right? You'd have to, in many ways, reinvent the narrative reel. You need new questions to entice the audience with.
What the hell are you?
The sequels that Fox produced decided to just ask the same questions again. After the success of Predator, 20th Century Fox asked the Thomases for sequel ideas. Of the 6 they proposed, the idea of the Predator stalking, and we're using strong air quotes here, an urban jungle was chosen. Predator 2 was released in 1990, this time helmed by Nightmare on Elm Street dream child director Stephen Hopkins, which, on paper, seems like a good fit until you realize the horror of Nightmare on Elm Street doesn't exactly line up with what made Predator so intimidating. Elm Street's antagonist Freddy Krueger is, at his heart, a showman, someone to carry the audience along, often breaking the fourth wall through an almost funhouse spectacle of horror. But the Predator's intimidation lies in their silence. Barely a word is muttered, let alone directly to us. And Hopkins just doesn't seem to have a clear handle on the tone. He's said since the film's release that he was young and just wanted everything bigger and bloodier. But Predator worked as a small, albeit violent, haunted house. Uncertainty around every hill and tree trunk, a folk horror-ish terror in broad daylight. The key conceit of Predator's mystery, the why, is also gone. We, as an audience and fans of the first movie, know this is a sport hunt. We are left to watch the main character and bright spot of the movie, LAPD officer Mike Harrigan, played deftly by Danny Glover, work through a riddle we already know. And as Hopkins insists on constantly pulling us away to focus on the Predator's gore, there's no time for us to empathize with Harrigan or why this means so much to him other than the surface level. He's a cop who stops crime.
Okay, who's next?
While there were the Aliens vs. Predators movies in 2004 and 2007, we wouldn't see a full Predator return until Predators in 2010. While initially conceived by Robert Rodriguez in 1994 while he worked on Desperado, the movie was shelved as the budget grew. But after AVP's moderate success, Fox brought back Rodriguez to return to his initial idea. While too busy with other commitments, Rodriguez agreed to produce, keeping it within his Troublemaker Studios to keep a close eye on production. Rodriguez personally hired Nimrod Antal, a Hungarian director known for the moderately successful Vacancy. Predators, a reference to James Cameron's Aliens, Rodriguez's script takes us back to the jungle, only now it's the jungle of an alien planet. And since we've seen these movies before, we already know this alien jungle is a hunting ground. One of the first problems with the script is there is so much tell instead of show.
This planet is a game preserve. And we're the game.
When the original Predator opened, we followed Dutch and his unit on a mission. We see their success and skill, which makes it so much more impactful when the Predator easily overcomes the soldiers one by one. With Predators, though, it's more bragging. Our main cast tells each other and us who they are.
You IDF?
Yeah. You need the service?
Not exactly.
Adrian Brody plays the reluctant leader and mercenary, Royce. Alice Braga is given the traditional peacekeeper role as Isabel, and the almost always amazing Walton Goggins is sorely underused as a run-of-the-mill psychopath. Topher Grace plays both into and against type as a meekish outsider revealed to be a serial killer. It's a smart attempt playing on the word predator that still feels like it falls short.
You couldn't see me for what I really am. You see, back home, I'm a murderer.
And unfortunately, Predators never finds its groove within the terror. Without the mystery to drive us along, we're left with characters the title itself told us are bad people. And there's a story to tell there. Should we be cheering on the Yautja? Do we want them to succeed over our titular predators? The movie never leans into the idea enough to question ourselves. Where Predators really tries to differentiate itself is in its world building. Not only are we seeing the Predators, for lack of a better word, game reserve, we also learn that several factions are infighting and using our hunted humans as points of pride, which again is just the least scary or tense-inducing idea. Do we really want to see our Yautja bickering and competing with one another?
Please stop doing that.
In 2014, Fox announced former co-star of Predator Shane Black, now enjoying a successful career as writer-director of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and The Nice Guys, and others, would bring Predator back to the cultural zeitgeist with The Predator. I know, the titles get confusing and we haven't even gotten to the plot yet. Much of the plot revolves around Army Ranger Quinn McKenna, portrayed plainly by Boyd Holbrook, as he attempts to prove the existence of Yautja after an encounter left his unit killed. You could call it a spiritual successor to the original movie, a sort of fanfic of what if Dutch came back with proof. Black has stated the original intent of the film was to flesh out who the Yautja are. The initial idea was that they were in search of a new planet to populate as their world dies. Their plan of splicing DNA with their prey was to acclimate their species to live on Earth in order to expand, which puts them at odds with other predators, I guess?
What, are they hunting each other now?
What we're left with is a third act that seems cut from another film and stitched onto an assortment of loose ideas. And while Black is a gifted writer and director, his wheelhouse has never been terror. He himself has said his strong suit is the unexpected, using our familiarity with tropes to defy our expectations, and that was an exciting idea until we saw the movie. While we kept waiting for some sort of horror to poke out of the rat-a-tat dialogue, there was nothing there. No tension or suspense, just a few jump scares and a lot of blood. And again, there is the complete absence of horror or tension.
Everything okay back there?
The Predator works more as a franchise entry point to a sci-fi universe we just aren't interested in. The Predator takes the weakest bits of Predator 2 and Predators and slaps a coat of clever writing over it. The problem is, it still retains the shoddy foundation of each sequel. We have the unnecessary world building, the infighting amongst Predators, the two-dimensional characters, but there's none of the suspense we need to invest in the franchise.
You ain't afraid of no man. There's something out there waiting for us. And it ain't no man.
Maybe the sequel's filmmakers realized the comfort in focusing on the action and over-the-top muscles. There's a warmth there, I get it. But it's not what made Predator scary. Hitchcock once said, "There is no horror in the bang, only in the anticipation of it." I can't think of a better example than that of a strange clicking in the forest, a somewhat familiar and still alien reticle. All of it just out of our understanding. So what do you think? Will Predator Prey make us the hunted again? Will we be terrified one more time of what's just beyond the tree line? Let us know in the comments below, and as always, please subscribe in order to stay up to date with everything happening with the Nerdstalgic channel.